Hello Year 7, I hope everyone's doing really well. So welcome to your new way of learning. So this is your Friday lesson, so your second math lesson of the week. So hopefully you've already done your 20 questions and you've now got a different coloured pen and you're ready to mark yourself out of 20. Don't forget when you finish, you need to upload it to Show My Homework to show me that you've done the questions and you've marked them yourself, okay? And then I'll update Show My Homework from there. So first one says 757 plus 79. So we're going to write it out like this. So 757 times 79. So 9 times 7 is 63. 9 times 5 is 45, but we obviously have to plus the 6, so that would be 51. And then 9 times 7 is 63 again, but plus the 5 is 68. Okay, so we've got that one. Then for the next one, we've got to put our zeroing, so we're working in the tens column. So 7 sevens are 49, so we write that like this, so 49. 7 times 5 is 35, plus the 4 is 39. And then 7 times 7 is 49, plus the 3 is 52. So now we've got that, all we need to do is add those two together and we'll have our answer. Okay, so I added them together and I got 59,803. Okay, so that's our answer there. So we'll have a go at the next one. So we've got 449 times 38. So 8 times 9 is 72, so we're going to write that like this. 8 times 4 is 32, and then we'll add the 7, so that makes it 39. And then 8 times 4 is 32 again, but plus the 3 is 35, so we've got 3,592. Draw a line under that. Now we're working in the tens column, so we'll add our 0. 3 times 9 is 27, so we'll write 27. 3 times 4 is 12, plus the 2 is 14. And then 3 times 4 is 12, plus the 1 is 13. So we now just need to add those two together and we'll have our answer. There we are. So I added those together and we got 17,062. Okay. So next up, we want to find the highest common factor of these two. So we've got 16 and 24. So if we remember, we need to do our factor pairs for these numbers. Okay, so we'll start with 16. So we've obviously got 1 and 16. It's an even number, so we're going to have 2 and we're going to have 8. 3 doesn't go into it, but 4 does because it's a square number, so 4 times 4. Don't need to write that twice, do I? Because I know that it's 4 times 4. No 5, no 6, no 7. We've already got 8, okay? So that's all the factor pairs for 16. On to 24 then. We've got 1 and 24, 2 and 12. Oh, 3 goes into it as well, so we've got 3 and 8. 4 times 6. Oh, let me just get rid of that, hold on. There we are, okay, I fixed it a little bit. So we should have those factor pairs for 24. So we've got 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. So now you need to have a look at both sets of factors and which one is the highest number that appears in both. Well, I'm going to go with that being 8, okay? So 8 is our highest common factor of those two numbers. So I think we'll just write the number 8 here and then we know that that's the answer, okay? Now this one's a little bit easier really, even though they seem like higher numbers. Because we've got 80 and 40, well we already know that 40 goes into 80. So we know that one factor pair for 40 is going to be 1 and 40, isn't it? Now 40 is the highest number that can go into 40. Now equally, 80, obviously we start with 1 and 80, but then we can do 2 and 40. So I don't need to do any more because I already know that 40 is the highest number that can go into 40 and it goes into 80. So therefore I know that my answer is 40, okay? So 40 is the highest common factor of those two. Okay, so next up we've got some fractions and we're adding them. So we're not going to times the bottom two numbers together because that's going to get a ridiculously high number, okay? But we want to look for this relationship between the two denominators. So what is 8 to 32? Well, if I times 8 by 4, I'm going to get 32, okay? So now I can have 32 on the bottom of both of my fractions. So there we go, pop those there. And then I can leave that one as it is, but then I can times the top of this one by 4 as well, because I times the bottom by 4 to get 32, so I've got to do the same to the top. So that becomes 24. So then I just need to add the numerators together, the top numbers, okay? So 24 plus 1 is 25, and then that's still over 32, okay? Okay, so again, we're looking for a relationship between the denominators. So the little one is 4, so how do we get from 4 to 12 by multiplying? Well, we're going to times 4 by 3 to get to 12, and then we've got to do the same to the top, okay? So now we want both of our fractions to be over 12. So we leave this one over 12, but to get to 12 on this side, I times 4 by 3, so I've got to times 1 by 3 as well, okay? So now I can just subtract the numerators. I can do 3 take away 2 is 1, so I know that my answer is 1/12. Okay, next up we've got some rounding. So this is round 463 to the nearest 10. So we're going to look in the tens column to start with, which is a 6, okay? So if that's a 6, the next number, if it's 4 or below, I can leave it as a 6 and have 60. If it's 5 or above, I obviously have to round it up to 70. But this time it's a 3, so I can round it nice and easily to 460 like that, okay? Same for this one then, we're rounding to the nearest 10, so we're going to look in the tens column. And we've got a 7, okay? Now the next number is a 1, that's 4 or below, so I can leave that as it is. So that means I get 270 as my answer. Okay, so we've got a fraction here, not a fraction, we've got a decimal, and we want to make it into a percentage. So if I've got a decimal and I want to make it into a percentage, all I have to do is times it by 100, because percentages are out of 100. So if I write 0.59, and then I times that by 100. Remember, all we have to do, if we're timesing by 10, we move the decimal point forward once, so we get 5.9. And if we want to times by 100, we move it forward twice. So that means we get 59, and then we can just write the percent there as our answer with a dodgy line. One moment. There we are, so our answer is 59%. Okay, so up next, this time, we've got a percentage, and we want to make it into a fraction. So as we just said, percentage is out of 100. So all I've got to do is write 80 out of, which is my fraction, 100, okay? And now I want to make it as small as possible because it says it wants it in its lowest form. So if I've got zeros on the end of both of my numbers, the easiest thing to do is divide by 10. So if I divide 80 by 10, I get 8, and if I divide 100 by 10, I get 10. So now I've got 8/10, and that's good, but it's still not the lowest, okay? Because they're both even numbers, so I can divide by 2. So that would be then 4 over 5, okay? Because half of 8 is 4, and half of 10 is 5. So that's our final answer there. Okay, so up next, they want us to find 25% of this number. So 25% is just half and half again, because half is 50%. So if I want to find 50%, I would do 56 divided by 2, and that would equal 28. But then if I want 25%, I've just got to halve it again. So I take my 28, I divide it by 2, and I get 14, okay? So that would be my answer. It would be £14. Okay, so up next, it wants us to find 10%. So to find 10%, all we have to do is divide by 10, because 10 tens fit in 100. So here we would do 410, and we divide that by 10, just take off that 0, and we'd get our £41. So that's 10% of 410. Okay, so next we're doing bigger or smaller, okay? So we've got 613,394, or we've got 617,394. So let's look at the columns. So in our 100,000s columns, both are 6, that's not going to help. Both are 1 in our 10,000s. But in our thousands columns, we've got a 3 in this one, and we've got a 7 in this one. So because the 7 is bigger, I know that that one is bigger. So 617,394 is bigger. And if you remember, the big end of the symbol eats the big number, just like a crocodile, okay? So it goes that way round. Next up then, we've got 73,863 or 73,903. So the first two numbers are the same in both, but then in our hundreds columns, they're different. And I know that the 9 in the second number is bigger. So again, I can draw my symbol going this way round because that one's bigger. Okay, so make sure you've marked your first 14 questions. We've run out of time on this video, so make sure you tune into video number 2 so you can mark your last 6 questions.